Hey guys, Hamsterwheel here with a new video, and today I want to talk about Feenix, cause yesterday I tried to log on to their Archangel server and I wasn't able to. I went to their website and nothing there as well. Turns out that Feenix has pulled the plug on all their private servers, so you can't play on them anymore. And since I have a lot of experience and memories playing on Feenix, I figured I might as well talk about it for a bit. So way back in 2012, I decided to try out my very first private server. This was Feenix Warsong. I had an absolute blast there, reliving the days of me playing a druid in vanilla retail, and I had a lot of fun. Back then, Feenix had 3 vanilla servers. Warsong, which was a high rate vanilla server, Alakir, which was an instant 60 server, and the Emerald Dream, their most Blizz-like server with all the rates set to 1 times. And you know what? Back in those days, the servers they had were actually pretty decent. Sure, they weren't perfect, with still a lot of issues regarding pathfinding, line of sight, etc. But overall it was great compared to the other servers that were out there during that time. They also had a Burning Crusade server called Archangel with high rate experience just like Warsong. All these servers had a pretty decent population with plenty of raiding guilds and a fair amount of PvP that was going on. So what happened? How did they go from having 4 servers with a fair chunk of people to being forced to shut down all their servers? Well, there's multiple things to take into consideration. Again, I wasn't a developer of Feenix, I didn't know everything that was going on behind the scenes, so please keep that in mind while I go through these topics. First up, other servers happened. That's right, one of the reasons Feenix kept losing people was because of other servers popping up that offered a better experience. Like I said before, 4 to 5 years ago Feenix offered some decent servers, but as time went on, new servers came up and each time it happened Feenix population took a hit. Think of Nostarius, Kronos, Looking for Group, Hellground's fresh server, Warmain's new TBC server, Vengeance of Azeroth, Gummy's upcoming TBC server, the list goes on and on. So, in a way, Feenix just got lost in the competition. They were no longer one of the very few servers out there that offered a decent to good experience. The market expanded, and more competition meant Feenix's population declined. It's not just the fault of other servers. Over the last few years, Feenix has made some very questionable decisions. One of them is the instant level 70 server called Area 52. It was supposed to be a TBC version of their instant 60 server called Alakir. Yet what happened was only a small portion of the players actually bothered to check it out, and there was a major imbalance between Horde and Alliance. It was in fact so bad that there were constant Warsong Guilds matches between 10 Hordes and 2 Alliance. It actually got to a point where the Alliances stopped queuing and people decided to just ghost Battlegrounds. That means to dual box a Horde that queues with everyone else, and then alt tab to your Alliance character just to make Warsong Gulch pop. Then you'd AFK on that character in Warsong Gulch, alt tab back to your Horde and rack up on free honor and marks. It destroyed what little PvP there was going on Area 52. In terms of PvE, I don't think raids ever happened there. I had an undead mage there for a bit and I didn't see one raiding guild on there, nor did I ever see any messages in world chat of people trying to get a dungeon or a raid together. So PvE was dead. PvP was barely alive for only a short time, and the imbalance between Horde and Alliance ruined the PvP, and after a few weeks I logged in to only find me being the only person online on that server. Yeah, quite tragic. Anyway, to no one's surprise, that server got shut down and never to be spoken of again. Was that the only bad thing that happened? Oh no, there's more. After a while, Feenix decided to move all the characters from all their vanilla servers to a new TBC server. This server would be called Warsong, and all the TBC content was locked and would be released eventually. So basically they were aiming for a PTE kind of thing, where people did all the vanilla content and now they could do TBC content with their current characters. This didn't go down too well with a lot of people, as now the characters they had put so much time in were now on a TBC server. People who spent a ton of time getting to rank 13 on the vanilla server now had to deal with their gear being completely obsolete as soon as the Burning Crusade content would be released. And keep in mind, this wasn't an option. It's not like you could click a button on whether you want to do it or not. This just happened. Let's fast forward to a half year later. In June 2016, Feenix decided to once again release their Warsong server. However, this would be the original high rate vanilla server it once was. Basically, they re-released their old server, but now everyone had a fresh start. Again, this wasn't received very well. It was released in a time where there were just better alternatives out there. Warsong was again full of wonky things here and there, and it just didn't stand out from the rest of vanilla private servers. Interest in the server was minimal, the population was low, and with the return of Nostalrius for people to look forward to, it bit the dust. So, what did Feenix do next? Well, after 8 months of their new Warsong server launching, they decided to open up a new vanilla server with all the characters you had on the old vanilla realms, and thus making them relevant again. This would have been great if they did this shortly after transferring all the characters to their fresh Burning Crusade server, as then people would have been, oh wait, I can still play my character on a vanilla server, guess I don't have to find myself a new vanilla server and start from scratch after all. But no, they did this a year after transferring the characters to the Burning Crusade server. A year. They were, in my opinion, far too late. People were long gone, they already found a new home and were well on their way of becoming max level, rating and getting back to the gear you had. So what happened to that server? Well, in the beginning the population was half decent, but that was only because people decided to check out their old character for fun and do a BG or two. Not long after though, people went back to their new server they called home, and again, another server from Feenix died down. The interest in playing vanilla content on Feenix was gone. The character transfer didn't sit too well with people playing there, their re-release of their new Warsong server just got lost in a sea of other, and more importantly, better vanilla servers. They released the server with the old characters way too late, and overall, they just got lost in the competition. Another thing I have to bring up is the corruption and toxicity of some of the staff members from Feenix. I don't know too much about this, but I heard people bring this up over and over again. So I wouldn't be surprised that people decided to leave the server behind because of this as well. Anyway, I got a little bit sidetracked here. I think now it's a good time to talk about their TBC server Archangel. Again, a few years ago, this was one of the better servers out there. Wasn't perfect, with a fair amount of bugs, pathfinding issues, and something I think everyone who played on Feenix remembers, the random disconnects. Sometimes they were very frequent and it could really mess up a BG or a boss attempt. Despite all the issues, it was still a fairly decent server, and for a very long time it actually had a good population. I don't know what exactly the numbers were, but it's safe to say that during the evening and the weekends there were over 1,000 people online. But like all the other servers, this one eventually died down as well. Archangel took the first few hits with the sudden influx of Burning Crusade servers, like Looking for Group, Play TBC, which, ironically, I never even managed to play, Hellground, and so on. Archangel was up and running for years. Most of the content was released, and many of the people were already decked out in tier 5 to tier 6 gear, so there was barely any sense of progression, and like I said, the server still had a fair chunk of bugs in it. People were ready for a new server, and so they left. The population dwindled down to only a few hundred people, and with the release of Warmane's new TBC server and the upcoming Felmis server, the server died down. Last time I logged in there, it was an absolute ghost town. There was no one to be found in Chatra. It was completely dead. Which also turned out to be a great place to record the background for this video. You see? No one there. Not even a random dude passing by in a flying mount or someone AFK. Nothing. But to be fair, it wasn't just other servers that killed Archangel. 5 months ago, Feenix released a new Raft Lich King server. This kind of made sense as Archangel was up for such a long time, it seemed natural for people to want to move on from Archangel to now a fresh, new Raft Lich King server called Realm of Shadows. And so they did. A fair chunk of people left Archangel to now play on their fresh Raft server. So now Feenix only has their Wrath of the Lich King server with any sort of population playing on it. This was pretty much their one and only hope, and unfortunately, their new server didn't catch on. I have to admit that in itself, it was a decent server. But the problem with releasing a Wrath of the Lich King server is that the competition is huge. There's a ton of Wrath of the Lich King servers out there like Gamer District, Dalaran WoW, Warmane's Lordaeron and Icecrown server, and the upcoming Northcraft server, which people are very interested in, and just the list goes on and on. And again, Feenix lost to the competition. On their own, they had a decent server, but decent just doesn't cut it in a sea of high quality Wrath of the Lich King servers. Eventually, the population there died down, and Feenix had nothing left. Their vanilla servers were dead, their TBC servers were dead, and now their Wrath of the Lich King server just didn't have the population to support their project. The call was made, and Feenix pulled the plug. With the way things went down, you can probably see how they got themselves the way they are right now. But it's still kinda sad to me, at least. I have a ton of memories there. I originally started on a Feenix server, and I leveled and geared up a ton of characters there. It's not all gone though. They did say that they still have the database of all the characters, so who knows, they might come back to life again with a new project. You know, kind of like a Feenix? I'm sorry, that was a terrible joke. Anyway, that's my experience and story about Feenix. Again, this was all based on my own experiences and what I read and heard from people, so yours may differ. One last thing I want to say is that despite what happened to Feenix and the poor decisions they made, I think it is safe to say that they did contribute to the private server community in some way or another. Hell, in some way I have them to thank for my channel, as I did mainly make my videos on their servers. Alright, I think that's going to do it for this video. As always, I want to thank you for watching. I'm Hamsterwheel, and have a good one.